Nicki Minaj versus Cardi B. So you and I behind the scenes were trying to figure out. You have the whole timeline. I don't know who tweeted what, when, who's responding to who started it. But let's just give some background on the beef between the two of them.
Let's do it.
Oh, and you want to talk about I'll call a radio station? No, that's not fucking true. That's not true. And I'm glad you said that because now I'm gonna call Angela Yee and I'm gonna tell her that why you being messy because I think it gets.
Just got one here talking about what could have should have been a hit. Sweetheart, do you know how many plaques I have from Pink Friday 2?
The hip-hop world is no stranger to feuds, but the chaos unfolding between Cardi B, Armon Wiggins, and Nicki Minaj has become one of the most explosive sagas of late 2025. What began as a casual interview on Way Up with Angela, Yee quickly spiraled into one of the year's biggest celebrity clashes, reigniting old rivalries and reminding everyone just how unpredictable fame, music, and public opinion can be. Let's break it down. Cardi B, famous for her fiery personality and zero-tolerance stance on disrespect, found herself pushed to the edge when YouTuber and commentator Armon Wiggins disrespected her in front of millions, once again dragging her name into long-standing drama with Nicki Minaj. The fallout was instant. An emotional storm erupted across social media, pulling in fans, critics, and even other artists as everyone chose sides. It all started when Armon Wiggins, a YouTuber known for dissecting hip-hop beefs and celebrity scandals, appeared on Angela Yee's show to discuss the never-ending tension between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. During the conversation, Armon didn't hold back. He threw shade at Cardi's personality, mocked her recent interviews, and hinted that her star power was starting to fade.
Now we're at a point where the beef has gotten back picked up. But, Cardi B dropped Am I the Drama? And so I guess she proved that she's the drama. She came out
said that.
busting a lot of shots.
His tone was cutting and dismissive. And for Cardi B, it was the last straw. Just hours after the interview aired, Cardi jumped on Twitter Spaces and delivered a fiery, emotional rant that shook the internet. Her exact words were, "Don't ask somebody that don't like me about me, because this is more than that. This is more than rap beef." She wasn't just angry at what Armon said. She was furious that Angela Yee, a respected media figure, had given someone openly hostile toward her a platform to discuss her personal life and career without offering any fairness or balance. Cardi's frustration went much deeper than a single segment. She opened up about how draining it's been to constantly be misrepresented by bloggers and commentators who profit off negativity and drama. What stung the most, though, was her claim that her children had been repeatedly dragged into the feud, something she's always said is completely off limits. Her voice on Spaces trembled with emotion as she called out both Wiggins and Yee, accusing them of deliberately stirring chaos just for clicks, attention, and online engagement.
My kids' name are involved, you should look up what happened. Don't ask a that hates me what happened.
That single quote echoed across social media for days, symbolizing just how personal the feud had become. For Cardi, this wasn't just about industry beef anymore. It was about motherhood, respect, and protecting her family's dignity. After her emotional rant went viral, Armon Wiggins jumped in to defend himself, claiming his remarks were simply opinions and not personal attacks. But for Cardi, that explanation didn't hold weight. She fired back on Instagram Live, calling Wiggins fake and hateful, accusing him of using her name for clout. Her energy was raw and direct, and fans could feel how deeply she meant every word. In one particularly tense moment, she addressed Angela Yee directly, saying she was ready for a three-way call with both Yee and Wiggins to clear the air once and for all, and to prove that she wasn't afraid to confront anyone spreading lies about her.
You have somebody that you don't watch their content with. There's exactly what I told her, and I'm gonna call her three-way with you. She could tell you that I said what I said.
Fans could feel the tension rising in real time. What started as a spat with Armon Wiggins quickly evolved into a bigger conversation about media accountability and the toxic culture of celebrity commentary, a system that thrives on stirring conflict for clicks and profit. Cardi's response wasn't just about defending her career. It was about protecting her integrity. Her reaction was raw, emotional, and deeply human. But this explosion didn't happen in isolation. It came right as her long-running feud with Nicki Minaj began to flare up again. After Cardi released her second studio album, I Am the Drama, in September 2025, Nicki couldn't resist throwing shade. She fired off a tweet filled with sarcastic rhymes mocking the album's title and even questioned its sales, writing, $4.99? A jab suggesting Cardi's success was boosted by heavy discounts. It was petty, but it hit its mark, and once again, the internet erupted into chaos.
So that woke Nicki up when she heard Cardi saying she was going to outsell her.
Well, yeah, because I mean, that's the whole.
Cardi fired back, calling Nicki Coke Barbie and accusing her of constantly picking unnecessary fights. In one fiery tweet, she taunted, "You must have missed me, huh? Crazy. Now kiss my feet." Soon after, she defended her album and turned the focus back on Nicki, urging her to compete with artists from her own generation. Cardi wrote, "Why you keep bringing up my album? It's not the gag you think it is. You've been in the game like 16 years. Compete with your peers. Rihanna, Taylor Swift, Drake, those are your numbers. You can't, 'cause you're doing lower than all of them. I was in high school when you came out. What you comparing yourself to me for?" What began as a petty exchange over album sales quickly spiraled into a vicious storm of personal insults, dragging family members and even children into the mix, a line that should never be crossed but sadly has become part of their feud's dark history. Nicki escalated things further by allegedly making cruel remarks about Cardi's daughter, Culture, calling her ugly and using language so harsh it stunned even her own fans. The backlash was immediate and intense, forcing Nicki to issue what many saw as a defensive apology to Culture, one that sounded more like justification than genuine remorse. Cardi, however, wasn't in the mood to forgive. In one now-deleted post, she hit back hard, writing, "BH, that slow behind son that came out your private. You was wishing so much negativity on me while I was pregnant, and look at your karma. Look what your rotten private produced. Now he 5 years old, tippy-toeing round the house, and can't spell his name." The insults were brutal, both women hitting below the belt in ways that shocked even their most loyal fans. Nicki's mother, Carol Marriage, stepped in to defend her grandson, writing on X, "Papa is smart. He's a bit shy, but that's normal for his age. Lies all lies. Thank you guys for standing with us. God bless." Suddenly, what started as a rap beef had turned into a public family war, blurring the line between entertainment and genuine emotional conflict. As the feud exploded across social media, fans took sides with unmatched passion. On TikTok, users dissected every video, quote, and tweet like investigators, while YouTube commentators dropped hour-long breakdowns tracing the feud's messy timeline. And right in the middle of it all, Armon Wiggins, the same voice who sparked this latest explosion, had his own take on how everything unfolded.
A lot of people are saying, Nicki is miserable and Nicki's like a dark-spirited person, but I think that we have to acknowledge the fact that Cardi B thought she was going to outsell Nicki.
Cardi fired back, calling Nicki Coke Barbie and accusing her of constantly picking unnecessary fights. In one fiery tweet, she taunted, "You must have missed me, huh? Crazy. Now kiss my feet." Soon after, she defended her album and turned the focus back on Nicki, urging her to compete with artists from her own generation. Cardi wrote, "Why you keep bringing up my album? It's not the gag you think it is. You've been in the game like 16 years. Compete with your peers. Rihanna, Taylor Swift, Drake, those are your numbers. You can't, 'cause you're doing lower than all of them. I was in high school when you came out. What you comparing yourself to me for?" What began as a petty exchange over album sales quickly spiraled into a vicious storm of personal insults, dragging family members and even children into the mix, a line that should never be crossed but sadly has become part of their feud's dark history. Nicki escalated things further by allegedly making cruel remarks about Cardi's daughter, Culture, calling her ugly and using language so harsh it stunned even her own fans. The backlash was immediate and intense, forcing Nicki to issue what many saw as a defensive apology to Culture, one that sounded more like justification than genuine remorse. Cardi, however, wasn't in the mood to forgive. In one now-deleted post, she hit back hard, writing, BH, that slow behind son that came out your private. You was wishing so much negativity on me while I was pregnant, and look at your karma. Look what your rotten private produced. Now he 5 years old, tippy-toeing round the house, and can't spell his name. The insults were brutal, both women hitting below the belt in ways that shocked even their most loyal fans. Nicki's mother, Carol Marriage, stepped in to defend her grandson, writing on X, Papa is smart. He's a bit shy, but that's normal for his age. Lies all lies. Thank you guys for standing with us. God bless. Suddenly, what started as a rap beef had turned into a public family war, blurring the line between entertainment and genuine emotional conflict. As the feud exploded across social media, fans took sides with unmatched passion. On TikTok, users dissected every video, quote, and tweet like investigators, while YouTube commentators dropped hour-long breakdowns tracing the feud's messy timeline. And right in the middle of it all, Armon Wiggins, the same voice who sparked this latest explosion, had his own take on how everything unfolded.
The shots that's being thrown on the record, figuratively, like Nicki's feeling like, well, Cardi's throwing shots about, tour and having to pay for stuff and going broke, and, then there's the Young Thug stuff. So Nicki was quiet during this entire...
For months, Cardi tried to stay away from him, refusing to engage. Yet by late 2025, following that Angela Yee interview, avoidance became impossible. This outburst wasn't mere annoyance this time. It was pure exhaustion, the fatigue of years being blasted by online smear campaigns. The dispute's layers run much deeper than shallow headlines. The rivalry between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj has long-standing roots, tracing back to their notorious clash at New York Fashion Week in 2018. That evening remains one of pop culture's most talked about moments. As Christina Aguilera performed at Harper's Bazaar exclusive Icons party, Cardi snapped, lunging at Nicki and yelling, "Come here and I'll F you up," even flinging a shoe. That moment instantly dominated global headlines.
Come here! Come here! Come here! One unit. Second floor terrace ASAP. One to all units. Second. You got him? Yeah, I got him.
Security quickly stepped in, escorting Cardi out of the venue barefoot, sporting a visible bump on her forehead allegedly caused by one of Nicki's bodyguards. The image of her storming out, angry, barefoot, and bruised, spread online within minutes. Later, Cardi claimed that Nicki had been liking posts that mocked her as a bad mother, which was the final straw. She also accused Nicki of trying to stop her bags by spreading lies and warning other artists not to collaborate with her. Nicki, however, denied all of it and fired back on Queen Radio, calling Cardi a disgusting pig and framing herself as the real victim of the feud.
To clear everything up for people who don't know, Ra really, really beat Cardi bad. Like, really bad. And I'm not trying to,
From that moment on, their feud stopped being just a clash of egos. It became deeply personal. Over the years, both women publicly insisted they'd moved on, but their actions told a different story. Through diss tracks, interviews, and cryptic social media posts, the tension lingered like smoke after a fire. Whenever one of them dropped a song or made headlines, the other's name somehow entered the conversation. Their fan bases, the Barty Gang and the Barbs, turned into digital armies, flooding comment sections with insults and conspiracy theories. The internet, addicted to chaos, kept fueling it like gasoline on open flames. By 2025, things hit a breaking point. Cardi, pregnant with her fourth child while juggling fame and motherhood, released I Am the Drama, which debuted at #1. But Nicki's mocking tweet about the album's $4.99 price tag set off an explosive chain reaction. Within hours, both artists were publicly dragging each other's families, partners, and even mental health. Cardi accused Nicki of battling addiction and hinted that her fertility struggles were linked to substance use. Nicki clapped back by insulting Cardi's children and labeling her jealous and hypocritical. Cardi then hit back harder, bringing up Nicki's brother's criminal conviction and her husband's past charges. The exchange turned vicious, arguably one of the most toxic feuds hip-hop has ever seen between two women who once symbolized strength, empowerment, and unity.
I hate this stuff
It's too
is really personal.
Yeah.
It's really nasty. It's really outside of music and anything that we cover as a podcast.
Fans and fellow celebrities couldn't look away as the tension between Cardi B and Nicki Minaj reached new, explosive heights. Social media was on fire. Memes, think pieces, and heated debates flooded every platform. But in the middle of all that noise, a few big voices tried to calm things down. One of them was none other than 50 Cent, a man who knows firsthand how far feuds can spiral. Taking to Instagram, 50 Cent shared a rare moment of concern. "I hope the girls stop fighting before things escalate," he wrote, warning that this wasn't fun and games anymore. It was getting too personal. "It's not going to end well," he added, sounding more like a mentor than a provocateur. He admitted that after reading their exchanges, it was clear the situation was spiraling fast. Coming from someone who built his image on beefs and survived them, his words carried weight. This time, 50 wasn't stirring the pot. He was trying to stop it from boiling over. His post hit differently because it wasn't just about two women arguing online. It was a cautionary message about what happens when ego, fame, and frustration collide in public. Still, for Cardi B, reconciliation seemed impossible. Her fiery tweets about Nicki's family made it clear she'd reached her breaking point. What people saw as rage was really years of bottled-up pain, resentment, and exhaustion. In that moment, her confrontation with Armon Wiggins became more than a celebrity spat. It symbolized her tipping point. It wasn't about one blogger's insult. It was about years of being misrepresented by the media, mocked by rivals, and torn apart by fan bases. Her outburst toward Angela Yee and Armon wasn't random drama. It was a cry for fairness in an industry that often rewards chaos over truth. Cardi's message during her Twitter Spaces summed it all up perfectly. "Don't have somebody that's biased towards me, that only says negative things about me." It wasn't just a demand for respect. It was a plea to be seen as more than a headline.
Angela Yee, if you know that this guy don't like me, and she was like, "I didn't know you didn't like him. He didn't like you." I was like, "Yes, you know he don't like me. Everybody knows this."
The entire situation reignited a much bigger discussion about how celebrity women, especially Black and Latina artists, are portrayed in the media. Supporters of Cardi B argued that she's constantly unfairly labeled as angry, ratchet, or ghetto for showing the same emotions that male artists are often praised for. Meanwhile, critics believe she should have taken the high road, handling things privately instead of letting her emotions spill out online for the world to see. But one thing everyone could agree on, Cardi's authenticity is unmatched. Her ability to stay real, even when it's messy, is what keeps her fan base fiercely loyal. She may lose her cool sometimes, but she never hides behind polished PR statements or fake apologies. What you see is what you get. That unfiltered honesty, the same energy that took her from the Bronx to global superstardom, is what keeps fans glued to her every move. Whether you love her or hate her, Cardi B's story remains a reminder that raw emotion, vulnerability, and truth still have power in a world built on image.
For fairness to Nicki, I won't read the last tweet, but Cardi did respond and accuse her of infertility and blaming different.
Even after the apologies that followed, Nicki's lukewarm message to culture and Armon's half-hearted tweet saying he didn't want any problems, the damage was already done. The wounds ran deep, and trust was nowhere in sight. In a later interview, Cardi hinted she didn't believe either apology was sincere, calling them nothing more than PR moves meant to quiet backlash. Her remarks reignited a larger discussion about accountability in the entertainment industry, whether celebrities ever truly resolve their conflicts or simply perform forgiveness for public approval. Many fans voiced frustration, saying they were exhausted by the endless cycle of beef, drama, and fake makeups. Even on Joe Budden's podcast, the feud became a hot topic. One panelist compared the Cardi versus Nicki saga to the Kendrick Lamar and Drake battle that dominated headlines earlier in the year. But they drew a clear line between the two. Kendrick and Drake's rivalry was about artistry and lyrical dominance. Two titans testing skill and pride. Cardi and Nicki's feud, on the other hand, has become deeply personal, bleeding far beyond the music into family, motherhood, and identity.
The mudslinging ain't no different from what Drake and Kendrick was doing.
It is different.
Not to
The comparison reignited a fierce debate. Is this still about hip-hop or just pure social media chaos? For many, the spectacle has shifted from entertaining to downright exhausting. Fans long for the days when rap beefs were settled on wax, not through endless Twitter threads and Instagram lives. As the dust begins to settle, the feud continues to morph, a living organism of controversy, growing with every post, interview, and leaked DM. Audiences now follow it like a reality show, breaking down each twist and turn as if it were scripted drama. But what keeps this feud captivating isn't just the insults. It's what it exposes about fame in the digital age. In a world where every gesture, facial expression, and subtweet becomes viral content, privacy and dignity have become rare luxuries. Cardi's explosion toward Armon Wiggins wasn't just about disrespect. It was the result of constant pressure, a reaction to years of being picked apart by gossip and headlines. In the end, Cardi B's outburst was more than a meltdown. It was a defining moment that blurred the lines between the personal and the public, revealing the emotional toll of celebrity life in real time. Her clash with Armon Wiggins shed light on how media bias and online narratives can twist reality, while her ongoing feud with Nicki Minaj stands as both a warning and a reflection, a story of pride, pain, and power in the spotlight. Love her or hate her, Cardi B's voice remains one of the most raw and unfiltered in hip-hop. And as 2025 comes to a close, one thing is certain: this saga is far from finished. Every tweet, every rant, every shaky apology is proof that in the age of social media, no feud ever really ends. It just waits for the next spark to set it ablaze once again.